When someone says the word education, what comes to mind? For me, it's about learning, growing, and expanding your knowledge about the world around you. However, this was not the case for Africans during the colonial era. Instead, it was about erasing our identity and history. It was about brainwashing Africans to accept their second-class status. And this is what colonial education did to Africans. I recently read an article by a Ghanaian historian, and I want to share some of his points with you because he makes some very interesting observations. The historian is Dr. Umar Al-Hassan, who is a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana, Legon. He wrote the article in 2016, so last year, but the points he made are still valid today. So let's discuss 3 of these points. Number 1, we were taught a distorted history that erased our past. Africans were made to believe that they had no history before colonization. According to Dr. Al-Hassan, before the missionaries came, Africans were pagans and had no form of organized religion. He writes, before the coming of the missionaries, there was no such thing as a religious minority in Africa. It was the missionaries who introduced Christianity as a new religion and in the process became the first religious minority in Africa. Now, if you take this a step further, you can say that missionaries were the first non-Africans to set foot in Africa. They came to Africa before Europeans came to dominate us politically. I know we've discussed this before on this channel, but it needs more emphasis because many Africans have been made to feel guilty about their culture and history. We need to know that we had kings and queens, empires, and nationalities, and yes, religions long before colonization. Unfortunately, colonial education failed to teach us this. Instead, they presented a distorted version of our history, which started with colonization. You can't talk about the history of Ghana, for example, without mentioning the Gold Coast. And this is wrong. There was the Kingdom of Ghana long before the Gold Coast. Same thing with the Ashanti Kingdom and the Kingdom of Benin. Our history was erased. We don't know much about it. And that was the intention of colonial education. Number 2, we were made to speak the colonizers' language. Speaking in English, French, or Portuguese became the benchmark for intelligence. This is something that has been discussed before, but it's important to keep talking about it until we change it. As long as Africans continue to speak English or French or Portuguese, we will never be equal to the so-called white man. Because when we speak their language, we tend to think like them as well. That's why a lot of Africans look down on their mother tongues. It's seen as a language for the uneducated and unintelligent. But this is not true. Your mother tongue is a beautiful thing. It's a gift from God. It's a way of connecting with your ancestors. And we should encourage our children to speak their mother tongues. If you take, for example, the Kikuyu language, Kikuyu, just listen to how beautiful it sounds. Kikuyu, Kikuyu. It sounds so nice. In fact, all African languages sound beautiful. They just do. And we need to appreciate this. We shouldn't allow anyone to make us feel inferior about our languages. Number 3, colonial education was designed to benefit the colonizers, not the colonized. The ultimate aim of colonial education was to create a cheap and compliant labor force. It was not intended to benefit Africans. Rather, it was intended to benefit the colonizers. The resources of the colonies were used to enrich the colonizers, and this continues to this day. It's one of the reasons why Africa is still poor despite having so many resources. It's because these resources are controlled by foreigners. We have people sitting in faraway lands making decisions about the resources of Africa. And this needs to stop. We need to use our resources to benefit our own people. In conclusion, colonial education was a deliberate attempt to erase African identity and history. It was designed to make Africans feel inferior and to create a cheap labor force. But we need to resist this. We need to celebrate our culture and our history, and we need to use our resources to benefit our own people. Thank you for watching and see you next time.